transit safety measures.
I was terrified. I was very uncomfortable.
Later, pushback against governmental freedom of information suppression.
Sends the message citizens are mostly a nuisance.
And a look into a Halifax non-binary salon space.
I got overwhelming recommendations to come here.
Good afternoon and welcome to The Signal. Today we'll be bringing you some features from third-year journalism students at the University of King's College. We're glad you decided to join us.
Absolutely. Welcome to the show. And what a day to be here with the team. We're all in the good mood after the end of yesterday's snow in April. That was quite something, wasn't it?
It really was. And if I had to guess, there were likely a lot of people using public transit yesterday.
Agreed. Our classmate Jude Pepler spoke with a woman who has called for bus drivers to be trained to handle situations where passengers experience sexual harassment. Until they do, Jude says there are many people who won't feel comfortable taking the bus.
For more on the story, let's hear from Jude.
Alexis Irvin, a second-year psychology student at St. Mary's University, experienced sexual harassment while taking Halifax Transit.
I was on the Halifax Transit on my way to work, and there was a man who was high on, I'm not sure what substances he was high on. It was obvious that he was high, and he had started to flirt with me and just compliment me and call me pretty. It was nothing serious at first, and then he started to get a little bit aggressive when I wouldn't respond to him, and then it escalated to him grabbing my hand and then proceeding to try to kiss me and kiss all over my hands. It was really awkward.
Irvin says that in that moment she didn't know what to do.
I was terrified. I was very uncomfortable. It was definitely an awkward situation to be put in, and I didn't really know what to do because I was on the bus.
From a Freedom of Information request to the Department of Transportation, we learned there were 11 reported incidents of sexual harassment and assault on Halifax Transit buses between 2022 to 2024. While this may seem like a small number compared to the 55,000 people taking the bus each day during this period, those are just the incidents that were reported. Many instances of sexual harassment and assault go unreported, including Alexis Irvin's. Police were called to the scene and the man was arrested, but Irvin was shaken up by the encounter and wanted to move on, opting not to file a report. Irvin says she wishes bus drivers were able to help more in these situations.
I think that they could have some sort of crisis intervention training so that when things like this happen, they know what to do and what steps they can take to intervene rather than waiting for the police to get there. Because I think in certain situations, there's not really you can't wait for the police to get there when there's something actively happening.
Patricio Garcia, a former bus driver for 19 years and the current president of the transit union, says bus drivers are trained to contact police and not intervene for their own safety.
We are trained to assess the situation. We're trained to stay in our seats because we don't have the means to defend ourselves. If there seems to be some kind of an assault going on the bus, we'll yell from our seat to try to get the attention to see what's going on. If it turns out to be an assault or a sexual assault, we are trained to call into our control center, and the control center then will dispatch police and supervisors accordingly because they're more trained to deal with that situation.
We reached out to Halifax Transit for comment about what it's doing to assess these issues. They had no response. Until changes are made, Alexis Irvin and many others will not feel comfortable taking the bus. For The Signal, Jude Pepler, Halifax.
For those who feel uncomfortable taking the bus, it can be tricky to get around. For the visually impaired, it's hard to get around with a little help from man's best friend.
Guide dogs are a resource for those living with sight loss. They can improve a person's confidence and allow for more independence in their daily life.
But what does it take to be a guide dog? And what is it like to live with one?
The Signal's Sarah Hamilton has the story.
At this dance studio in Halifax, 3 puppies show off their progress towards becoming full-fledged guide dogs. The Canadian National Institute for the Blind, or CNIB, is hosting a Come and See session in hopes of recruiting some puppy raisers. Laura Kennedy is a puppy development trainer for the CNIB. She plays a key role in training these puppies.
Right, they're amazing and they're challenging, especially those early days. So, they're gonna nibble, they're gonna have those different behaviors that we're looking to shape in order to hopefully set them up for success to become a guide dog.
For the first 12 to 15 months, these dogs live with and are trained by volunteer puppy raisers, teaching them everything from being calm in crowded spaces to focusing on specific tasks when wearing their yellow "I'm working" vest. After they learn the basics, these dogs go on to more intensive training at a facility.
We kind of akin it to sending sending a kid off to university. It's hard, tears will be shed, but we know that they're destined for something greater.
It takes a special dog to become a guide dog. Qualities like their ability to settle, a certain adaptability, and a calm temperament. While these puppies aren't quite there yet, they're working on it. Shelley Adams is the CNIB Advocacy Manager for Atlantic Canada. She's been working with the CNIB for more than 2 decades, but her journey with the CNIB began much earlier.
I've also been a client with CNIB since I was 8.
Rookie is Shelley's 3rd guide dog and a CNIB guide dog graduate.
If there's an obstacle on the sidewalk, if he's able to go around it safely, he'll take us around it. If not, he'll stop, and then it's my job to sort of figure out, okay, why did you stop? Okay, there's an obstacle in front of us, and then try to figure out how to get around it. So we really work as a team. I need to know where I'm going in order to direct him, and his job is to keep me safe and on a straight path during our outings together.
In 2023, the CNIB had 400 people on its application list. To date, the CNIB has trained and matched 77 guide dogs with owners like Shelley. With this showcase, Laura Kennedy is hoping some of the people here will decide to take on the task of becoming a puppy raiser, and more dogs will be on their way to earning that yellow vest. Sarah Hamilton, Signal News, Halifax.
After weeks of internal debates and input from the public, the government has passed a bill amending the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act.
This act allows people to request documents that wouldn't otherwise be accessible. Now, these requests could be refused. Here's the Signal's Emma Breton with the story.
Bill 1, as it stands, sends the message citizens are mostly a nuisance. If Bill 1 will allow public entities to dismiss requests out of hand, please ensure that there are countervailing safeguards for the public.
Michelle Raymond is a retired member of the Legislative Assembly. She spoke out at the Public Bills Committee meeting about the proposed amendment to the Freedom of Information and Protection of Privacy Act. These amendments were part of a larger bill on government administration. The bill was introduced by Premier Tim Hewson in mid-February. At the first reading, it gave the heads of public bodies the ability to refuse any Freedom of Information request that is deemed trivial, frivolous, or vexatious. Brendan McGuire, the Government House Leader, sits on the committee. He said the reason for these refusals lies in preserving the time and resources of the workers who fulfill these requests.
A handful of individuals just bombarding FOIPOP, and that's eating up resources. So we do know that 3 people, for example, of the 3,500 were responsible for 600 FOIPOP requests.
An argument one presenter pointed out punished the 3,497 others for possible misuse by the 3. Raymond was one of 20 presenters who made arguments against this bill. She said it makes it too easy to dismiss information requests without oversight. Freedom of information requests are used by nonprofit organizations, journalists, and citizens who are looking for information that isn't public. Robert Cribb is a reporter with the Toronto Star in Halifax for a panel on public trust. He said some stories couldn't be uncovered without information requests.
I did a series on abuse in daycares, so I had to get inspection records from daycares conducted by the city. And they weren't handing those over, so I had to fight for 6 months to get access to those records that showed the outcomes of these investigations.
He says these requests are the only way to get information that wouldn't be made public otherwise. The PC party backed off of its proposed changes. On March 26th, the bill was amended. Requests that are deemed trivial, vexatious, or frivolous can still be refused. But now that refusal has to be approved by the Privacy Commissioner's Office. From the Signal, this is Emma Breton.
Tim Houston's proposed changes to the Freedom of Information Act came in the middle of a review of the legislation launched by the Justice Department over a year ago, in September of 2023.
One of the contributors said they were blindsided and couldn't figure out why the government wouldn't wait to see what the review said.
It was supposed to be released, the report, this spring. No word on when that will happen.
Let's turn our attention to Alexis Barrow, a jazz trumpeter. Barrow's music is a product of his African-Cuban origins. Once he came to Canada, he was taken under the wing of black jazz musicians.
Now, he remembers his roots in his music. From Ethan Hunt, here is the history-influenced musician.
Alexis Barrow's love for musical instruments started with his mother, who played the oboe. Yet, it was the trumpet that caught his eye. Growing up in Havana, Cuba, he was surrounded by African jazz musicians. He remembers his teacher at the time brought him to see some players to show Barrow what he was doing wrong.
I was mesmerized about, how versatile these guys were, how could they play, like how good they played. And many of these guys that were, exceptional at what they did.
Now, he has participated in 80 albums across his career. When Barrow made his 2022 album, My Reyes, or My Roots, he dedicated the album to the Cuban trumpet's history. The album goes from Cubans challenging their colonial oppressors to the tango.
It's intended for younger generations to remember that, the way that we all play today is because of how long has been the trumpet developed in Cuba and how many trumpet players have been around and how many have developed their styles.
Barrow came to Halifax for an African Heritage Month workshop and concert for the Halifax Jazz Festival. During the show, he shared some of the African Canadian jazz players who have influenced his music. One of those was Archie Alleyne. Alleyne adopted Barrow when the trumpeter first came to Canada.
Which were icons in the jazz scene here in Toronto. And he had the only all black Canadian jazz bebop ensemble.
Barrow showcases musicians during his show to preserve the history of jazz in Canada.
We should all know about each other. There's great musicians all over this country that are doing great music and that also are educated.
Ethan Hunt, The Signal, Halifax.
Whether you're cisgender or transgender, haircuts are an essential part of our day-to-day self-expression.
But for some, it can represent more than just a new look. For our next story, Talia Friedhoff is going to a unique Halifax hair salon to learn more.
It's August Graves' first time at Mainland Hair.
I just kind of rock with the 2000s emo vibes.
He says it's been a while since he got his haircut anywhere. But there's an important reason they have for coming to this hair salon. Because though it looks like any other haircutting place, it's not.
I got overwhelming recommendations to come here, so after that I was like, well, I gotta. I just find, in general, there was a lot of places that I'd get a haircut and they wouldn't really know how to treat me or what to say, or really even what I wanted.
Mainland Hair is a non-binary salon space. One of the first in Halifax, the shop opened in 2019. Traditional salons often have different prices based on male or female cuts. Steph McNair's shop is different.
I felt like I could kind of fill a small spot within that industry that maybe I felt was missing.
It's like a clear space. Put me way more at ease at booking a haircut. Nice, that's awesome.
As trans topics remain a hot issue in both Canadian and American politics, McNair feels spaces like these are essential.
I had this experience once too. I got a haircut in the mall, and or I tried to anyway, and I got told that I couldn't get one because they only cut men's hair, and I was like, well, that's strange. I am a man, but no, they could either tell or thought, and I was denied service.
How's that feeling?
Amazing.
I'm gonna show you the back.
Okay. This space is really a one-of-a-kind place, and I think that it's very valued amongst the community, and I will definitely be returning. This is great.
Feels good?
Yeah. Oh, man.
Nail the length in the back?
Yes.
Cool. Awesome.
Mainland Hair and other spaces like these hope to provide a safe space for all who need it, one haircut at a time. Talia Friedhoff, The Signal, Halifax.
While Mainland Hair's customers are looking for a cut, the Halifax Hoopers are looking to not get cut. The last 3 professional basketball teams in Halifax have all failed. Gone.
The Halifax Windjammers? Snipped. The Halifax Rainmen? Cut. The Halifax Hurricanes? Chopped.
The Halifax Hoopers are Nova Scotia's newest professional basketball team, and their first season is underway. This is Halifax's 4th try at hosting a professional basketball team, the last 3 times all failing. Will this be any different? The Signal's Callum Watson has the story.
There's a new basketball team in town, and they have no intention of leaving anytime soon. The Halifax Hoopers are getting ready to tip off their season on April 18th. They are part of the Basketball League, which has 37 teams from all across North America. Halifax's last 3 professional basketball teams all folded. Why is this going to be any different with the Hoopers?
If you had a bad girlfriend or a bad relationship, bad boyfriend, are you critical of the next one? Like, you're weary of what went wrong in those relationships, but you fall in love again, So I would say that for us, we've seen what didn't work in those former relationships, and we've made right from the very beginning those changes. The stadium is more feasible. The prices to the people, to the community is more feasible.
Jones mentioned that a key to their success, and where he believed the other teams went wrong, is he wants to focus on having some homegrown talent. Jones drafted 4 players from right here in Nova Scotia. Josiah Tynes is one of them.
When I was a kid, there was only maybe like 2 or 3 guys playing basketball that actually made it out of the province. So for me, it's basically for the kids, man. I want to come home and show kids it's possible if you have a dream like I did when I was a kid to play professional basketball. You don't have to leave. I had to leave my home country to go try to pursue professional basketball in college. But as someone that's from here, I think coming back home and showing hey, I can be a pro here too. That's what it's all about for me.
As expected, both Augie and Josiah are excited to bring basketball back to Halifax and are optimistic about the years to come. However, not everybody shares that same level of optimism.
You have to have some feeling in the community that they want to see this succeed. So in the first year, the second year of a franchise, it's hard to feel an emotional connection to them. The hard part then for any city is, why do I want to allocate my disposable income dollars to something that's a startup that might not be good from the beginning and might not be here in 3 to 5 years? So you don't want to make that emotional investment, let alone the financial investment, unless you have some sort of guarantee, and there are no guarantees. And so that makes it really difficult then for fans to feel a connection. And of course, recipe for disaster coming.
The Hoopers are hopeful for the season to come, and they'll be having their home opener at the Zasman Sports Center in Dartmouth on April 18th. Callum Watson, The Signal, Halifax.
Oh, that's terrible.
Last month, the U.S. imposed 25% tariffs on Canadian goods. Canada retaliated by implementing 25% tariffs on $30 billion of American imports.
Before the tariff tensions, Canada and the U.S. had a strong trading relationship. $2.5 billion American dollars worth of goods and services cross the border every day.
But now that relationship is in jeopardy, Owen, and millions of Canadian and American jobs are on the line. Canadian businesses of all sizes are figuring out how to fight back.
Jenna Olson has the story.
Yes, that was fun. Some Canadians have found an unconventional way to express their anger with U.S. President Donald Trump's 25% tariff threats on Canadian goods. At Rate Room Halifax, owner Terry LeBlanc started a promotion that's been a smashing success.
Well, we're doing a promotion called Smash the Tariffs. So basically, anyone who books a package here gets a free picture of Donald Trump. And on top of that, you also get 25% off any extra items you want to smash. And then, of course, if you'd like to buy the pair of Elon Musk and JD Vance, it's $5, and all the proceeds go to Feed Nova Scotia.
Donica Cody has been working at Rage Room since September.
People come in and they're like, okay, where's our Trump picture? That's really good. Good feedback.
Customers are enjoying smashing Trump. People actually been enjoying smashing JD Vance and Elon Musk too.
One teenage boy came in and he could not wait to smash Elon Musk's face. He was clearly not a fan.
Terry and the Rage Room were able to give me a real hands-on experience, and I got to try smashing some things myself.
Why does it feel like it's still gonna hurt? Like it feels so wrong to do. Yeah.
LeBlanc said Rage Room has received some backlash over the promotion.
We had a couple of nasty phone calls come through at the beginning. Those mostly have calmed down now. The majority is very positive, and unfortunately, the small percent that was negative, it's impacting. It scared staff a little bit at first.
News of the promotion even made it south of the border. Fox News wrote an article about it.
There was a write-up about the tariffs, and they mentioned how we're breaking pictures here in Canada over this. When asked about the Rage Room in Halifax, the spokesperson from the White House, I don't know if this is the exact words, but it was like, Canadians won't have to worry about any tariffs when they become our 51st state, was their reply, which obviously is not going to happen. The fact that a small business from Halifax, Nova Scotia actually got mentioned at the White House, I think is pretty neat. So, no one in black suits have come for me yet or anything like that. So, yeah, I think we're okay.
Jenna Olson, The Signal, Halifax.
That's it for our stories today. I'm glad to be caught up on all the Halifax happenings.
Me too, Owen. Thanks for joining us. I'm Emily Conahan.
And I'm Owen Starling. From all of us at The Signal, enjoy your weekend.